I want to. Ben and I got off air yesterday, and we agreed that Ngātea was probably the greatest easy build hotspot weather location we'd ever had, because we'd never had a UFO thing before. But we went back. When was it? September 4th, 1969. We find that Ngātea had some weird crop circle, and I thought, I want to know more about this. This is a little corner of New Zealand history I was hitherto unaware of. So we went and did some searching on the interweb. And I thought, I need to find a journalist who's covered the story and knows more about it than me. And we came up with someone, journalist Jim Birchall, who joins us on the line now. Jim, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good morning, Sean. How are you?
Good. Now, I'm just trying to figure out, did you cover the story of the Ngātea crop circle when it happened, or have you gone back and researched it since?
Yeah, I actually wasn't on this mortal coil at the time, mate.
Yep.
So I would have had a bit of problem with that. But I based a lot of the information, and I did a story that appeared in the Herald about a year ago, or a bit less than a year ago. A veteran journalist called Kingsley Field was actually first on the...
God, that's a great
scene.
name for a Kingsley Field.
It is.
Inquirer.
Exactly. And he was doing some work as some sort of editor at a local rag at the time down there. But I think he said Thames or something. And he was kind of one of the guys who was first on the scene.
He's still alive?
Firsthand. He is. I spoke with him last year. He actually appeared in the story.
Okay.
So I got basically my learnings of the first-hand experience from him, coupled with some stuff Scott Bainbridge, who's a writer of all things mystery and crime, had done some background as well. So
give us the thumbnail sketch of what happened in September of 1969. Was it 69? Yeah, in bloody Ngātea.
Yeah, well, there was a farmer called Bert O'Neill who lived on Orchard East Road, a property. One morning, he basically, as you said, in September, he found a huge round patch in his field and a bunch of burnt-out manuka, which on first impression sort of had a silvery appearance. And he thought, that's a bit strange. So he went and obviously had a further look at it, and the whole thing, was burnt into a big circle. And he also found 3 V-shaped impressions, which something you would associate with, tripod, or surmise as being tripod legs had come down and imprinted themselves into the environment quite deep down into the soil. Initially, it was speculated that he could have been some sort of spray runoff.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah.
No worries.
Spray runoff. Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't fit. Given the shape and the other impressions that were found and stuff like that. So the whole thing turned into a bit of a sensation.
Was there also a UFO sighting in Wellington or something at the same time?
Well, it was a bit of it was a kind of a hotbed at the time. There was one in UFO, as you say, a UFO sighting in Wellington, and there was one in Dargaville a few days prior, and there was another one in Te Kuiti where a pond, the reeds of a pond had been flattened by something, and a bunch of cows had been spooked as well. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but it was certainly a strange time, the spring of '69.
Okay, and what about these Wellington UFO sightings? Were they mass sightings, or were they pilots, or what?
From what I understand, they were people on the ground and stuff like that. But it was, it sort of the whole thing. There was a glut of sightings around the same time as the one in Ngātea, which sort of people started piecing together as being related. But whether that was
because we don't really have massive UFO scares anymore, do we? 1969, I suppose we were into the space race then. Space was a thing.
Things were happening.
Yeah. Okay, so was there ever an official investigation? Did scientists ever turn up and test the soil or anything, or not?
Yeah, they did. A plant pathologist was sent by a minister called Brian Tallboys. Your game was a bit before my time.
No, I know. Knew Brian Tallboys. He was all right.
Oh, there you go. And the pathologist sort of deduced that the plant material had been cooked from the inside out, was the exact quote.
Like microwave.
Correct, yeah, and they ran a Geiger counter over things, and there was certainly some radioactive activity that came up, or increased shortwave radiation is probably the best way to put it. Another quote was, "No energy source could have made those impressions," which is quite telling.
Well, so this was kicking off, Jim.
It was, and things were happening in Wellington, and then it kind of got a little bit swept under the carpet once the hype sort of died off, which it did last for a while. Apparently, Christmas parties of that year, a lot of people, the local people of Ngātea, were turning up dressed as aliens or some sort of extraterrestrial theme, and people came from far and wide to sort of trample all over the Mr. O'Neill's farm to have a look for themselves. So it did cause quite the stir at the time.
And I imagine quite a lot of visitors to Ngātea, and the pub would have done well. I'm starting to get a little bit of feeling of, the Timaru Panther here.